Welcome back to the Artist Talk series. I'm Mike and I run the Spray Days YouTube channel. I know it's been a while, but we're back with some awesome artists for you guys to hear about. So today's guest is not only a talented artist, but he's the creative director and designer for Paint Shop Studio, a mural company mixing graffiti and graphic design. He also curated and organised the wicked Upside Gallery project in Bournemouth. So I'm really excited that he spared some time to chat with us. So with all that said, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. rickyalso. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, all good, man. Thank you for having us on your show. It's wicked.
No worries.
Yeah, all good.
No worries. Really appreciate you sparing some time to talk to us. Now, on the Artist Talks, really like to get a bit of the artist background. So can you tell us where you're from?
Well, I grew up in Southampton, sort of outside of Southampton in the New Forest, in a sort of quite a shitty town, really. But yeah, just round about there. And I live in Bournemouth now, and I've sort of been around the world mostly. But
wicked.
Yeah, all round.
Wicked. And what age and what sort of got you interested in art? Was it early on, or was it a thing that you developed later on?
Yeah, I think it's just it's something I always remember being into. I've always loved drawing, and it's kind of it's a usual thing I think for people my age that we all grew up into hip hop, and I wasn't good at break dancing or rapping or DJing, so I ended up just sticking with the graph. It was the only thing I was good at, and I just loved doing it.
Wicked. And was there a group of you? Was there a crew of you when you were growing up, or were you doing it on your own?
So where I grew up, it's like a sort of half-hour drive or so out Southampton in the New Forest. It was quite a weird insular place. So there was a whole group of us who were just mad into hip hop. Like some of them still like sort of people grew up with are still DJ now, like well-known DJs, and then it was sort of as we then grew out of that area, then we met loads of other people from Southampton. So it was a really strong little scene there.
Oh, wicked.
Like I say, like DJs, graphers, all sorts of people, all still quite strong in the game now.
That's wicked. So did you do much travelling out, or were you just based in Southampton really with your mates?
Mostly we used to come up to London a lot. So obviously when I was younger, I started painting when I was about sort of, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13, just tagging around the area. And then I just carried on into it. You then sort of venture a bit further out into town and met some of the bigger boys, from the town. And then we used to do a lot of trips up to London to go, this is sort of like late 80s. So we used to go up to Westbourne Park and get there early so we didn't get taxed for our cameras. And then take pictures of graph and then go into town record shopping.
Oh, nice. So it was something that you appreciated as well. You were taking photos of other people's work and a fan yourself.
Oh, yeah, man. Definitely. There was from around about that time, there were so many good people out doing stuff, and the track sides were completely fucking annihilated all the way in. So it was just, it was just pure hip hop. Like from the moment you left your house, you're like, graph on the train lines, you go record shopping. It was really good times.
Sick, man. And was there anybody that was catching your eye? Anybody that you remember who stood out?
I mean, like, I kind of obviously like it was Chrome Angels were the sort of main people because they were doing like sort of future graph then, and it was just so then people like Bando and Mo2 and stuff. Really, I know it's kind of an obvious one, but it was those guys.
For sure. That's cool though. And have you always painted sort of in your style, that typography sort of thing, or is that something that you've developed over time?
Yeah, that's something sort of. I keep changing styles, and so a lot of people. I used to paint under the name Depth, and then it shortened it to Dep. So a lot of people would have known me like for doing characters as Dep. Cool. So I was mostly just doing characters more than letters for most of my time, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's only sort of more recent years I started writing also about sort of 7 or 8 years ago, and then with that sort of came the change of letters, came the change of style, and it ended up becoming more typographic than graph, really.
Totally, man, totally. And is there any meaning behind also, or is it just something that came around? Or
I was always doing like different styles. I was always doing different types of works. So I was always saying, I also do this, I also do that, and so it kind of just fit in. Obviously, I like the letters, but the name fitted me, and you can break the letters down, and it's got the names of my kids in it as well, or like little clues to it. So it's kind of got a few different things that sort of works for me, but. Sick. It just seems to fit. I've been painting like Depth for like 20 years or something, and
wow.
I kind of exhausted all the different letter styles I could do with it. And it was a shit name anyway. So it was time for a
have some
change.
new letters to play with, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was kind of like depth. You always had to sort of do it at an angle because it's just the way the letters form. It just doesn't have any symmetry, or it's hard to explode it and make it interesting shapes out of it.
Right. And you've got any interesting stories from back in sort of the 80s London graph? You were talking about people pinching paint and stuff. Is there anything that sticks out to you there?
There's probably loads, but it's kind of, I was never really like a badass graffiti writer, so I wasn't like always doing a train. So I'm not going to lie. I don't have that many stories about that. I mean, like, because it was quite a small town where we grew up.
Yeah.
And then one of the local hardware shop got a load of Krylon in, and then we rinsed it over the course of a weekend. And that was it. And the shop, he's never sold it again, and it shut down. So it's kind of like, it wasn't like badass in the city life. It was kind of, a whole bunch of us were then going mad, going out tagging with this Krylon paint and hammerite and stuff that we'd racked, and then loads of people got nicked for it. So it was kind of, it just wasn't, it was so small, like you couldn't really stretch your legs out much to do anything. Totally. So I think I ended up sort of, the easiest way for me to paint was to get commissions. Nice. So I was always like trying to get like budgets out of youth clubs and get to paint their walls, and then they'd give us a load of paint, and it was probably a lot easier than racking, to be honest.
Awesome.
So I kind of got a slightly different sort of background, I think, to most writers.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask,
what wasn't all about the racking. I was always, I think, more inspired by like, or wanting to spend a day doing a piece rather than doing the train lines and stuff like that.
Put your time into it, make some effort, put some work in.
Yeah. I did do that, but it was always look back and seeing the stuff that I'd rushed out and just thinking, that's not really what I want to be seen as, But it was all good times. But I guess that sort of early sort of thing about trying to do more commissions has sort of stayed with me now, where I'm doing mostly commissions and
totally
that way, really.
Well, I was going to ask, what sort of point did you transition from just doing it as fun to where you sort of felt it was more of a profession, that you were doing it more of as a job? Sorry.
It's kind of, I've been doing like my company, because I've got like a company called Paint Shop Studio, which is my sort of commercial company, creative studio that I work through. We set that up like 15 years ago. Wow. But I've always seen it as fun. You know what I mean? It's always been like what I love to do. So it doesn't feel like there was ever a jump. I mean, when I was, because I started, when I was 13. So by the time I was 18, I was trying to find a job doing something that I liked doing. Yeah. And I got someone told me about graphic design, because I didn't really know anything about it. And I ended up doing like a sort of 6-month, YTS scheme, basically graphic design.
Right.
And then learning that. So the graphic design was quite similar to graph. I was drawing and doing typography, and then ended up doing a sort of career in graphic design for quite a long time. And then I started getting back into painting again. Yeah. So it's sort of, it just transformed back into sort of mixing the two together, which is, I think, where I am now, where it's kind of half graphic design, half graph.
Yeah, like each design fuels the other side of the work. For example, like your graffiti's fueling your graphic design. Each one's inspiring you each way, maybe. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, because I can do it I got kids now, so like the only way I could ever keep doing graph, realistically, was to try and do it as a job. So I can now sort of go, I'm going out and doing work, and I go out and have a paint. It's all practice, or like. So it's kind of So it's a lifestyle now that I can maintain a bit.
Oh, totally, mate. And was there a job that you remember where it was you felt an actual change, like you felt, oh, this is more of a job that I'm doing now, or did it just gradually come over time?
I think it's sort of gradually come over time. I mean, even when I was doing graphic design, a lot of my design was like informed by graph. I was always trying to do graph style characters and using the same sort of tricks and effects you do in graph. So it really has it just feels like a sort of fluid transition, really, which is good.
That's wicked.
Yeah. And a lot of the design influences I got, like 80s skateboarding and stuff like that. I put that into my graph. And
definitely. I was going to say, I love some of the skate decks that I've seen you painting. Does that come from you skateboarding yourself, or?
Yeah, I was always shit at that as well. I tried. It was a big part of my life for a long time, and I don't think it's ever left.
Nice.
But I was never good at it.
Wicked.
So I stuck to graph, but it just, I've never liked painting on canvases. They just feel really like quite a sterile surface.
Formatted.
I like painting on walls. I like painting on stuff that's got a bit of texture, and painting on wood and skate decks. It has, I don't know, it makes it feel like a product. Then it feels like it connects to who I am anyway.
Oh, definitely, man. And with the skate community, I mean, I feel it a lot because I used to skate myself. It's very similar to the street art community. I mean, just the way it works, how everyone's got a similar interest, how you go to certain spots that like most people may not get to. You see sort of the world through a different set of eyes. Do you see them sort of similarities?
I think that's what skating taught me. Was you end up looking at architecture in a different way. You're like, oh yeah, that's not a slope on the side of a building. That's like, hours of fun right there. And it's the same thing. I'm always looking at architecture now to paint on it. Yeah. So I think it sort of teaches you to look at things in a slightly different way. And I've always felt like I got on really well with skaters. There's a sort of like a homegrown DIY kind of thing about skating as there is with graph.
Definitely. And have you designed any skate decks for companies or anything like that, or is that something you'd want to do?
I want to do it again. I did some a few years ago for a skate company called Enough.
Right. Cool.
So I did like a sort of artist series one, which was in my style, and then I did another one which was sort of more what they were after. It was like I had a picture of me on it, which is quite funny, but sort of stylized out, so you couldn't really see it. It was, but I've seen people skating on it, and it's like a picture of me on your deck. But yeah, I'd love to do more because it's like I say, like the surface of it is. It's just like a really interesting shape. You can turn it, lengthways, and it's a sort of like a wall shape, or vertically, just a bit different. Definitely. So yeah, I'd love to do more.
Definitely. Is there any companies where their aesthetic sort of speaks to you, where you think, oh, I could do something for them?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, there's so many good skate brands out there. I've got a friend who helps run Isle Skates, which is a real nice London-based one. So I love everything they're about, but they have a very different style to my style. So I wouldn't expect to do anything for them. Palace would be nice. They sort of connects with what they're trying to do. I don't know. Yeah, anybody just want to paint on wood.
Definitely. No, I feel you, man. That's sick. And is there any sort of other surface? There's sort of some like hut that you'd painted a few weeks back and some different surfaces. Is that something you're looking to do? Just switch it up totally?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm always looking for like new things to paint on. I think. I mean, obviously, like concrete is number one. Being able to paint on raw concrete. Like I did a project last year and was able to paint on raw concrete and leave a lot of the concrete showing through in a sort of negative space. And to be able to use the materials that you're painting on as part of the art is sort of quite appealing to me. So yeah, I'm always playing around with different like building materials and stuff like that to paint on. And also I did a lot on glass like a few years ago. I was sort of painting on glass and layering it up.
Oh, sick.
So you can create like a sort of weird sense of depth to the art pieces. But I was doing more characters then, but I'd quite like to try that again. We're doing a sort of typographic stuff.
That could be wicked, man. That sounds really cool.
Oh, nice. Cheers. Yeah, I'll give it a go.
And as well, like I saw that you'd worked with some huge companies like Adidas, Absolute, stuff like that. How do them projects come around? And is it daunting working with companies that big?
It's always good. I mean, the Absolute one came out of sort of nowhere, really. It was just at the beginning of lockdown as well, so I just had all my jobs cancelled. And I was just like, fuck. And then they got in touch. I mean, so it was quite nice to be able to do that and actually sort of, get into doing something at home and, just playing around with it. So that was good. But like, because I've been working for graphic design studios, I kind of used to working with big brands.
Yeah.
And I'd worked with like Adidas for like over sort of 10 years now, on and off, doing various projects for like the last full-time job I had. We did a lot of work for Nike and Adidas and got sent off around, to Sweden and stuff to set up big like events for Adidas and Ian Brown and, helping sort of promote their shoes and stuff. So a few years ago, I got asked to do some t-shirt designs directly for the brand, which was, really nice. And then got to spend like a month out in Nuremberg at their sort of Adidas HQ, which, blew my mind. It was fucking nuts.
Crazy.
Just to sort of, I don't know, there was like sort of all these sort of streetwear heroes that I know about, people who helped set up, Stussy and Maharishi and stuff like that, all sort of just kicking around. This guy in that office there, design like the fucking Yeezys. It was just like, this is was just a wicked, like place
Great
to be and just
experience.
try, just get right into doing t-shirts for a bit.
That's it.
It's
And
kind
did
of, it was high pressure. I was working late one night and then they'd be like, oh, Pharrell wants a t-shirt. Can you do it tonight? And we're like, yeah, okay, I could do that.
can't turn
So
that
just
down.
sort of knocking out designs quite quickly, but also, got to do some stuff in my own style. Yeah, it's good. I love doing all sorts of different types of work. So like graph is sort of my foundation, but sort of being able to take bits of that and apply it to, anything. What was quite nice about Adidas is like one of their philosophies is they sort of keep one foot in the past and then they try and reinvent the past and create something new.
Yeah.
And that's sort of part of how they work. So they'll reinvent, the superstar with new materials.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I think as well. Like I always try and keep one foot in the past, keep a lot of sort of graph knowledge and the history, but also always looking to try and do something a bit different.
So it works really well. You gel with the brand.
Yeah. I mean, just not trying to, I think a lot of people say, oh, my stuff isn't graph now, and it doesn't, it doesn't really matter to me because I'm kind of, graph is, people nailed WildStar. I don't think I can add anything more to that. I want to see where it can go next, and try and push it forward.
Totally. And do you have any advice to anybody else sort of looking to make that transition from graph to sort of doing murals? I mean, is there any way like shortcuts, some way you could get in with companies? Is there anything that you did that you noticed worked really well, or?
That's a difficult one. I mean, the younger people seem to be more on it than me, to be honest. They seem to sort of get it straight away. I'm still sort of struggling to figure out how to be more. I'd love to do some bigger murals as an artist rather than doing commercial, commission murals.
Totally.
So I don't really have any advice. I guess what I'm trying to do now is bring much more of my own personal style into my work.
Yeah.
And then the more I can do that, then the more I'm doing of my own personal stuff and sort of try and get that sort of nice marriage.
Definitely.
Between commercial and getting paid for doing what you love to do.
Sure. Yeah, that's ace, man. I mean, you touched then on big walls. I saw a huge wall that you did over in Worthing, was it? A big car park?
Yeah, that was fucking nuts. It was ridiculously big. And it was a weird one. So it was like I think it was 75 meters long.
Jesus.
By 5 stories high, right on the seafront in Worthing. This old like sort of brutalist architecture, big concrete fucking car park.
Yeah.
But it had loads of windows in it, so it was quite hard to do. I couldn't just go to town just doing like a whatever I wanted. Whatever I did had to fit between the windows and be easily read and so it was a good project to do. Just it's all painted like basically fat cap the whole lot.
Nice.
So it took a while. But it was good. Yeah, that was the biggest mural in the UK, I think, for a while. I think it's probably been beaten now, but
yeah, it's a good title to hold. Good. It's the biggest one you've ever painted, I take it, right?
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest one I've done. Yeah. I'd love to do more like that, I think. And it was quite nice, sort of, again, because it was working with like old sort of 60s brutalist architecture, and it's sort of it was nice to be able to work with that.
Yeah.
We did a project recently last year called the Upside Gallery, which took brutalist architecture again and just use it as a surface for artists to paint on. It just works so well to be able to reinvent spaces a bit.
Definitely, mate. I mean, that was a huge subject I wanted to talk to you about, was the Upside Gallery and the event down there. I mean, how did that all come around? You had some insane artists down there like Gary Stranger, Will Barris, Mr. T1.
Yeah, it was amazing, like the lineup on it. It's just I was just walking there with my family because it's the site is basically right in the centre of Bournemouth. So in the middle of Bournemouth, you've got the River Bourne, which runs through a valley to the end, which is the Bournemouth. So it's where it's got its name from. So it's like a sort of 3-minute walk from the centre of town.
Oh, sick.
So it's like an ideal location in the middle of these like beautiful old gardens, and he's just got this massive dual carriageway going through the top with these big concrete supports. So we were just walking through there, and I was like, I'd love to paint this because it's got like a sort of dramatic look to it anyway, even without the painting on, just the sort of dynamics of it.
Totally.
So I end up just. Sorry, mate.
It's like a gallery already, with the pillars. It sits like some sort of, outdoor gallery as itself. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's nuts. So I was just sort of, because I'd done a bit of work for the council, I started just prodding and, you know, seeing what if anyone was interested in doing it and how I'd get permission. And it took about 2 years of prodding and getting the right people and then finding funding for it. But yeah, eventually we got it going. And I had like the lineup of artists, you know, that was sort of the fun bit really. Because it's just, we got so many good people. I wanted to keep it all UK based. And I wanted to keep some people from Bournemouth, you know, some locals or ex-locals.
Definitely.
But the lineup, you know, the people we got in the UK for painting are just incredible. So it was kind of easy. You know, there's almost too much choice to be able to pick people.
Yeah.
But the people I picked were, I wanted to pick people who had taken graph, who started off in the same place as me and taken it to new places. So yeah, you got like Will Barras has gone off on his own, you know, in his own tangent. Gary Strange was taking it to a different place altogether. You know, same with Remy Ruff.
Yeah.
And we also had like Greg Squirrel there, who's got a much sort of more friendly style. But it was just like a really varied mix of people, but all came from the same place and just doing their own thing now.
So it was a thought about decision. It wasn't just some friends, or, you know, it seemed really well curated.
No, I really wanted to get so I wanted to show, it was like an opportunity to show graph in a different way. So it's like in one contained area, in a place where it's actually making an improvement. And no one can argue that it's not an improvement on this area, you know, from just grey concrete walls to big, you know, like, you know, I think they're sort of 10 meters tall blasts of colour. So you get, you know, so it's just be able to do that and then say, right, well, these are all people who started off as graph and they're all taking it into different directions. And, you know, and like I say, yeah, luckily a lot of them were, you know, locals as well, you know, like Best Ever from Bournemouth, and had a guy called Krishna who's also, you know, sort of local and up and coming talent.
Wicked,
so it's good. I love doing that project. That was wicked.
Yeah, definitely. And what sort of impact have you seen on since it's happened, the project?
It's got, yeah, because I go down there regularly just to check it, and, you know, just make sure no one's, you know, tagged it or anything stupid. And luckily it's all right. It's been over a year now, just over a year, and it still looks immaculate. And every time I go down there, there's always people sort of milling around or having photos taken, and, you know, there's people having the wedding photos taken down there, and it's just amazing to see people using the space. And I think, like, if it wasn't for COVID, you know, there was all sorts of plans this year for using it as market space, or, you know, it's just using graph in like a positive way, and, you know, and seeing how people adopt it. So it's been good, and it's given me like confidence to go and try and do more projects like that elsewhere.
Definitely, mate, definitely. And I mean, you've obviously got a lot of passion for the area. I mean, you don't spend 2 years doing a project and stuff for no reason. So, like, did you feel like you achieved what you were trying to do with the project?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I didn't have like sort of a big grand like plan or anything like that. It was literally just like, I want to see these painted. Let's see if we can make it happen. And if I'm going to do it, I want to invite this guy. So it was just, so it achieved all that, and it's been well received locally, and it's opened up doors now, like in the area. Because I only moved to Bournemouth like sort of 6 years ago, so I've kind of, ever since I've been here, I've been trying to push for things to turn it into more of a creative town, and, you know, and there's a lot of potential down here. There's a lot of good walls and places to paint.
Do you think it'll start to grow and spread throughout Bournemouth then?
Yeah. And there's already a good scene here as well. There's a lot of younger ones who are doing the sort of, more trains and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of good artists, and there's a big old school scene as well from people that I looked up to when I was young.
Sick.
There's a crew called the Outcast crew down here. I think it's like one of the Britain's longest standing graph crews.
Nice.
And so it's got all the heritage, and it's got a lot of energy and passion down here. So I'm just trying to build on that, I suppose.
It's wicked to see something like that happening. I mean, it doesn't happen enough, in my opinion. And out of all the pieces there, I know this is a ridiculous question, but did one speak to you more than any others? Did you have a favourite out of them?
I can't say that. It's like having a favourite kid. No, I genuinely loved all of them. Yeah, because they're all so different. You can't really compare Will Barras to Gary Stranger, because they're just totally different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really weird space as well, because you can walk around, stand in different places, and then and it changes everything straight away, because you can see a different selection of artworks all together. Yeah, I generally, like T1 blew my mind, and how he was using his paint, and it was quite, it was good good experience for me as well, because I'm ordering everyone's paint for them. You're like, okay, oh, that's interesting. I'll never use those colours together.
Right. Yeah.
So it's interesting to see, like the way T1 paints is so different to the way I'm painting. It's just interesting to see like everyone's different opinion, different ways of approaching the work.
Wicked.
Different attitudes, and just get to hang out with these people. It's good.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think you did say, but is the scope for that happening again? Is it something that's going to happen in the future?
I think so. Yeah, it's been really popular.
Yeah.
So I don't want to paint over everything straight away. So
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it. This year wasn't going to happen anyway. So maybe next year, or maybe the year after. But
yeah,
I don't know. There's quite a few other bits of walls around town. So
definitely.
trying to weigh up whether paint new ones or I think because the space is so good, I think we will redo it again, like in a year or two.
Yeah.
But they still look fresh as anything now, so I'm not going to touch them for a bit.
Oh, no, I definitely agree. It'd be cool for them to stand for a bit, definitely. And have you got any other projects? I mean, studio work or any gallery shows or anything? I've seen a few pieces flying around, but have you got anything that you'd like to tell people about?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's been a really weird, busy year, so I feel like I've done quite a lot. So I did like an art installation, which is something I'd never done before, where I actually like created the wall I wanted to paint on. so instead of just turning up and painting a wall, I was able to actually sort of design what I was going to paint on. So I did like a sort of group of boxes together with an arrow sticking down, saying you are here, and then painted that. So that was a really interesting thing.
Was that the Arts by the Sea project? Arts by the Sea? Or...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So again, it's another sort of local Bournemouth thing. So it's quite good. I guess that came about from doing the Upside. You get sort of known a bit.
Yeah.
I think next year I want to do more of my own personal work. I want to build on that, and it's been nice this year to get invited to a few sort of gallery shows and sort of work on a different scale. So I'm quite enjoying using brush and paint, which I've never done before really.
Right. Yeah.
So sort of working on smaller scales, and getting it to look the same as when I paint on a big scale. So it's a bit more sort of unified.
Definitely. And which do you find more easy? Is the studio working on a smaller scale a lot harder and intricate than working on a huge car park, or vice versa?
It's more peaceful. It's just like really chilled. You just sat there in your own little space listening to documentaries. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And then you got to sort of stay calm and nice smooth lines. And when you're painting, you're just like trying to get it, like big shapes. So it's kind of they're so different. I love doing both, and it's sort of it's nice. Like with commercial work, you tend to sort of it's a bit more controlled. So when I go out and paint for fun, it's a much looser experience.
Yeah,
and you get to sort of make a mess and just fuck it up and see how it works out.
With the commercial work, when you get these tasks or design briefs, etc., are you finding that a challenge, like a good challenge, or is it sometimes annoying the design briefs that customers come with?
It's at the moment it's quite good, because people seem to approaching me now, and because of the work we do, as a studio, they're like, oh yeah, we want more like this. What can you do? So we don't want to obviously do the same, but it's kind of within the same area of what we're doing anyway. So that's good. We're doing project at the moment for just started doing it today, but for a commercial company in their offices. So that's a bit weird. It's like they've got these sentences of things that they want to say, so I've got to try and figure that out. So that's a bit annoying, but yeah, generally it's people want to see. We've got a style now, like a house style for the studio,
for sure,
which is based around my personal style.
Yeah,
so it's good. I always like it, man. It's always good fun.
Totally, man. Totally. And that sort of thing just keeps you going. It gives you a chance to get your personal pursuits going, I guess, and create your own sort of...
it gives us, commercial work brings in the money, which means I can then go and take some free time to go and do, my own personal work. And, and actually, you don't really get paid a lot for doing your own art, really. So it balances each other out.
Totally, man.
I think, yeah.
Totally. And is this whole current situation affecting you and your company much at the moment?
It did initially, because we were quoting on loads of big projects. I think off the back of the Upside, a lot of people contacted us going, "Oh yeah, we would like to do something like this," and that literally all just within a week it all just dropped off the radar. So it was a bit tough at the beginning, but yeah, luckily Absolute got a hold of us, and then people started figuring out what they're going to do. We ended up doing quite a lot of restaurant interiors while they were closed. They're like, right, let's do a revamp. And that's what we're doing now. Now the new lockdown's coming. We've just suddenly had a load of new calls, so we're doing okay. But there's going to be an end to this. This is a short-term, like kind of interest. But I think in a year's time, whether a lot of these companies are still going to be investing in their office spaces or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be another question. Where do you think the future stands for this sort of thing? I mean, it's been around for so long. Can you ever see it dying, or is it something that's going to thin out, or where do you see it going?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment, like, people are seeing it as a positive thing. They're starting to understand graph, and it's not really graph anymore. It's sort of merging into sort of mural art, and then people are loving it. So I think it's got quite a long time in it, but there's also loads of people sort of jumping on and doing it out of uni and stuff like that. So it's going to get harder as well. So I don't know, but I think there's always going to be a place for graph and what we do. Like, our tastes aren't going to change that much. So people from our generation are going to be owning businesses, and they're going to want logos and stuff that looks a bit like what we do. So I think there's always going to be something. But
definitely, mate.
I don't know, like, 'cause everyone's got big colourful walls at the moment. It might be like next year everybody want just white walls and then we're all fucked.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. What do you make of the government sort of program where they was talking about artists retraining and all this jazz?
Yeah, I mean, it's genius, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not a fan of the government, by any stretch. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like, I've worked in like graphic design in the creative industries. It's one of the biggest industries this country's got, and it's the most respected. Berlin have been trying to poach the creative Londoners, for years. They're trying to move the creative scene out of London into Berlin by offering cheap rents and incentives and stuff, and we're just helping them out the door.
Totally.
We're going to have nothing left soon in this country.
Do you feel that? Do you feel there's no backing on that side of it? You're sort of on your own. You're self-employed. You're doing what you do.
Yeah, we got no help from the government at all. Like, because we've got a limited company, you're seen as a director, so you pay yourself a minimum wage, and then when there's money in the account, you then pay yourself a dividend. So it's not like it's not a tax scam, which is what they're trying to say. It's just when you're living hand to mouth, that's kind of the only way you can actually do it. So and if you're set up like that, we've got no help. There's no furloughing. Was basically 80% of minimum wage, which isn't enough to keep my family eating. So no help from the government, but luckily we've been doing this a long time, so we've got quite a lot of connections that are keeping us floating, really. It's good. And the Arts Council actually came through for us as well, which is good.
Oh, cool. Did they help out with all sort of upside and everything, or? Yeah,
because we've done quite a lot of public art projects. They gave us a grant and gave us a bit of a help for that first horrible month. Just gave us a little bit of a carrot at the end of the stick, just to keep going.
Definitely.
So they've been good. Like, if anyone, that would be, if anyone's looking for sort of help and stuff, try and look at what the Arts Council are doing, because they're doing quite good stuff, I think, for people. If you can fill in a form, you can get, you can help out quite a lot.
Yeah, it seems they're sort of not taking advantage of, but seeing the situation that everyone's got to sort of be outdoors, and they're sort of doing arts trails and doing their best to sort of help the arts community. But it doesn't feel like it's a lot, to be honest. No.
I mean, I don't know how you're finding it, but I know a lot of my friends are sort of struggling. I think it's sort of there's bits of work floating around, luckily, because it was super strong sort of industry before lockdown. But we're all basically taking money from the events industry and from hospitality, and these are industries that aren't going to be around much. No. So I don't know what's going to happen, but
we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, I've always, because I've always done a bit of graph, a bit of illustration, a bit of design. I've got a few fingers in a few pies. I can take bits of work from everywhere. If I was just graph, probably be fucked. If I was just an illustrator, I'd be struggling.
Totally. So, and talking about that, like influences and stuff, who is a strong influence for you? Is there anybody? I mean, I saw a post which was referring to super graphics and this sort of. Can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've got all my graph sort of references and heroes, and But through design, I was basically, my mum bought me like this book from the charity shop. So
Right.
it's, like an old design book, and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. 70s graphic design. I was looking through it, and there was this woman, I can never remember her name, but Barbara Solomon Schaffler or something.
Yeah.
And she was doing that in the 60s. She was just doing big graphic design, like on a big scale, using architecture as a sort of canvas.
Right.
And it was just like this, and so I then found out about this sort of, this movement called super graphics, which is basically just huge graphic design, huge letters and stuff on buildings. And it was just like, well, this is exactly me, because I love typography, I love that sort of style, and I was just able to apply all the graphs background to it as well. So it just fitted in exactly with what I was doing. So it's kind of given me, like, when I ever start losing my focus, I'm sort of like, I need to sort of go back to doing super graphics. That's what I want to be doing.
Definitely. I saw that was on a comment about a book. Is it weird seeing your own work in books published that you were sort of fans of?
I love it. I always seem to, they either get my name wrong or they leave me off the credits. Excuse me. I don't. I think I was in that super graphic book, but I never got a credit for it. And another book about typography, and didn't get credit for it either.
Man, do you find
because
that
I'm always working for other people and stuff? So it's
right?
Yeah, one day I'll get a feature with my name on it.
Definitely. Do you have any plans to do sort of a tribute to that, or a book yourself and that sort of scope?
No plans. I'd love to do it, but I don't think I'm not there yet. I think I've got a long way to go before I've got that sort of body of work behind me. But yeah, hopefully one day. I guess that's when I'll be able to sit back and go, that's it. That's my career in the book.
Definitely.
And retire.
And do you have any goals like that? Is there a goal that you're trying to achieve with your art, like an end game?
No, not really. I mean, it's sort of just survival. I think, like, anybody, it's the same. Like, I'm always trying to just be better. I don't feel like I don't think I've got anywhere close to how good I could be. Okay. I just kind of like always like just if you do that, I can get a little bit better. Do that. So I'm just want to get good. That's it. That's the end game. And I feel like I've actually achieved what I wanted to do.
When do you feel you're improving most? Is it collaborating with other artists, painting at mural fests, or like in the studio on your own?
It's all of it. I love doing all of it. So when you go and paint with other writers, it's just one, it's a good laugh, and that's what that's what it's all about, really. But you also learn different things, and you try things differently to go and sort of merge in with other artists. So that I love doing, and I love being in my own on the studio, and I love going out and doing festivals, and so I love all of it. All of those things together is what it is for me. It's what makes it graph.
Definitely, mate. Did you ever travel much to paint? I mean, abroad or anything?
No, well, I've done a little bit. I've been to like Roskilde Festival. That was a really good graph festival, and done Meeting the Stars in Germany. Done a few things, but not enough. I've travelled a lot.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I almost sort of gave up graph for a bit, and I went off just travelling, and so I gave up. Yeah, I lived in Australia for a year and didn't even paint at all then.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of that's my only regret. I wish I'd never stopped painting. And when I was travelling, I was painting. A lot of these younger kids are all off painting everywhere, and I'd love to do that. But
definitely, I was going to say, is that something you'd love to do? So this mural circuit that's happening now, where it's European countries, off to America, off to Mexico,
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do that. Who wouldn't want to travel? And doing, the best way to travel is always to sort of work places anyway. So I'd love to do it. I mean, it is turning into a bit of a circuit, though. It's becoming a little bit like cliched, and it's a lot of the same artists getting to go around, and it's basically sort of replicating work all around the world. But I think there's cleverer ways of doing it. But like these big mural festivals, I think a little bit more curation and a little bit more of a sort of concept behind it would benefit.
Definitely.
And also, making sure that sort of a lot of the locals are included in it as well, because I think it's important, if people are painting in that town, that they get included in these big festivals.
Totally. And the whole thing is to meet the people from the area, sort of get that vibe and give something to them, almost a gift to the community,
Yeah, and sort of raise the artists, the local artists, up with the people visiting as well. Sort of bring them up a bit. That's the sort of way to approach it.
Definitely. And it's
anything. There's all sorts of stuff going on that I'd love to be involved in. It's been frustrating this year because this was a year I wanted to go and put more effort into actually getting involved in that sort of stuff. And
Definitely.
Yeah. Been a bit of a
What's the
dead
best
loss.
sort of way to get? Do you find, is it reaching out to sort of these festivals, or do they contact you?
I don't know. So someone tell me. I don't know, because I don't know how. I guess people are emailing asking. I've kind of like the old Graph festivals used to get invited. So I'm sitting around waiting to be invited, but I guess it doesn't happen that way. It was nice. I got invited up to Liverpool this year, and that would have been really nice to paint for Zap Graffiti Festival, Contrast Music
Nice.
Festival. But yeah, I couldn't do it because they were just locked down for COVID.
Oh man,
Yeah,
hopefully, if you got plans to come up to Liverpool, because Zap's awesome. There's some awesome stuff going on there.
yeah, no, I'd love to do it. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't do it this year. Hopefully they'll do it again. And it'd be nice to come up north to paint a little bit more as well. I'd love to sort of meet up with T1 and do some painting with him again. And yeah, it's so much. There's a good scene outside of London. I would love to go.
Definitely, it seems to be taking over the UK now. You see it in all these sort of fringe towns doing huge wall mural fests, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. I think there's more opportunity, because I spent that sort of 15 years living in London, and although there's a really good scene there, you got to really like jostle for your place on the wall. So it's, when I moved down to Bournemouth, it was all of a sudden I was just seeing all these amazing walls, and no one was tapping people up. So you got a lot of opportunity down, outside of the big cities, I think.
Definitely. And I mean, you mentioned before about your kids. Is it something that you're hoping that they take up, getting into art? Is it rubbing off on them?
They're quite into it. Obviously, they're used to seeing me paint all the time, and being surrounded by paint and art. But so I guess it rubs off on them. But they're both quite good. I mean, they're only small, but they're both getting quite into drawing.
Wicked.
The younger one as well is like, I think he's got the attitude to be a good bomber. That's for sure.
Nice.
He painted our house quite quickly when he was young.
Oh man, I bet it makes you quite happy to see that inside. You're like, oh, sick.
Yeah, it's really, it's nice. They get really excited as well if I've done a wall or at a festival or something like that. They like quite proud to come and see Dad do his stuff.
They're not like, oh, I'm bored of it. It's me dad. That's cool.
Nah, I think that'll happen soon though. That's going to be the teenagers. But they're getting to the point now, like, where I can take them out, to a wall, and they can just do their own thing. I've got loads of scraps, so.
Oh, that's sick.
I think they'll be into that. I had like an old fence in my garden which they obliterated in the summer. So it's good. It's new generation.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's ace to see. And I mean, have you got any up and coming shows? Have you got plans for solo shows or anything at the moment? Or
no plans. I've got a piece in the show in the Wirral, like just outside of.
Yes, Brighton, Oakland Gallery.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was quite nice. So Ben Iron's company, R-Types, this creative practice, invited us into a couple of shows this year, which has been really good.
Wicked.
So hopefully, do more things like that. But I haven't got any plans. To be honest, I've got no idea what I'm doing next year.
And if you spoke to the guys at New Brighton about maybe painting, because they've got a lot of walls over there, they're doing quite a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, I'd love to do it. I guess I'm just sort of waiting to be asked.
Definitely.
Too polite.
Hopefully it comes
Yeah, no. To be honest, this year's been so hectic. I'm not doing anything like proactive to do anything. I'm just sort of dealing with the work that's coming in, and luckily it's all been quite good stuff. But I think next year I definitely would like to sort of get out. I want to go back to sort of London and paint a bit more in London, and like I say, just come anywhere really, just get out of town really.
Wicked, mate. Do you have a website, or where can people find your work at the moment?
Like the best place is rickyalso on Instagram, so at rickyalso. We've got like a studio practices called Paint Shop Studio.
Cool.
Which so you can find like all the commercial work there and the bits of projects and stuff like record sleeves and things we've done.
Wicked.
But that's it.
Awesome. So just send you a DM, basically email you off the account and get in touch that way.
Yeah. So I'm doing a shit job of selling myself there. Get a hold of me.
Definitely.
Yeah, like paint shops are commercial work, and Ricky also is my sort of my more personal work. But hopefully we're hopefully going to get to come up and paint your scrapyard at some point.
Definitely, you're always welcome, man. I mean, I love doing projects, and it would be wicked to get you over, do something maybe with T1, something like that.
Yeah, I'd love to do it. I mean, I've been kicking around this idea for years about like painting stock cars and getting loads of artists to paint stock cars and smashing them up. So I kind of,
Yeah,
when you
banger
see
style.
what you're doing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really nice idea. I'd love to see like, yeah, all get smashed up afterwards.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. I mean, I'd love to do something, and I mean, we're hoping that in the new year there'll be a slacker rules so that we can get another jam going, 50, 60 artists again, get something
Yeah,
really good
amazing.
going, cheer everyone up a bit.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be brilliant. Hopefully, it'll all be like in the new year. We'll be able to, yeah, like at least in spring, we'll be able to go out and do stuff.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, so
Crossed.
I reckon next year's going to be a good year.
Definitely, mate. Fingers crossed. Well, I can't thank you enough for spending some time to chat with me. I mean, it's been wicked. I feel I've got to know you a bit better, and I hope the fans have learned something from it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Thank you for having giving us a call, and having a chat. It's been wicked.
Not a problem, mate. And I'm really looking forward to speaking about some future projects as well, man. So we'll have to talk about that after.
Yeah, let's get it going. Well, good luck with everything you're doing, man.
Cheers, mate. Cheers. And I mean, to everyone else, there's links below for anything we've talked about, Ricky's websites, his Instagrams, any way to get hold of him. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe and support and keep watching. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hopefully a few people have listened all the way to the end.
Yeah, definitely, man.